we are here with a time lapse this time. So, y'all know I've been talking about getting that 400 gallon on the stand for a long time. Long time coming. It's just been really hard coordinating help to get over here to help me get it lifted, moved. Moving it isn't a problem. I can move it all on my own. Lifting it up and getting it in place was the whole problem. And getting it in the room, figuring out how to get it in the room was a problem. So I just want to give you an example. You know, this is the doorway here when you come into the fish room. And then we have the hallway here, okay? So that tank is 9 feet long, 33 inches wide, and 2 feet tall. So getting it into that doorway was impossible. There was no way to get into that doorway. The tank was just too big, too monstrous of a tank to stand up and maneuver it to try to get it in this doorway. So the only option was to remove one of the windows, which I did. And y'all will see that on the time lapse. Anyways, I did get a couple people over here to help. It was only 3 of us. You'll see all the struggle we went through in the video. There is one clip in the video where I forgot to do the time lapse, so you'll actually get to see, I think it's a 12-minute clip of us trying to figure out how we're gonna lift it, the position we need to get in, so on and so forth. And there's one spot where I almost got crushed because my buddy decided to almost drop the tank on me, basically. But yeah, it is what it is. We got it in. Tank isn't damaged, and here it is. So it's on the stand. So y'all stick around, stay tuned, watch this video all the way to the end. I think you'll get a kick out of it. And it's not, well, say it's not gonna be long, but the clip that I've written the time lapse on, I think it's 12 minutes long. So it might be a pretty long video. Just watch it, and I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. And y'all share the channel. And don't forget, I'll have a link in the description below for the merchandise. Y'all head on over to the shop and go get your merchandise. realhardfishing.creator-spring.com. Y'all head over there. I've got a lot of different designs. We got t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, tumblers, socks, iPhone cases, Samsung cell phone cases, AirPod cases, blankets, bandanas, a lot of stuff. There's gonna be more stuff. I'm doing wall art, doing all kind of home decor, all kinds of stuff. But thanks for tuning in. And let's get right into this time-lapse video. Whew, man. So in this clip you see here, me and my buddy Ben, we're just moving the tank into position to get it ready for my buddy Brad to get over here. I'm going to go ahead and remove the trim on the window here so it's easier to take the window out, so that way it's already done whenever he gets here. So now I'm moving in here into the fish room. We're going to remove the bottom pane of this window, and the top one's a little bit difficult due to the swelling and the paint on the frame. So, you know, a little bit of tapping with a hammer here makes it a little bit easier to come loose. It broke it loose, and that top one is out. Now we're going to go over here and find a small blanket or something to lay inside the windowsill, so that way the tank doesn't get damaged as we're sliding it through the windowsill. We're going to finish moving this tank here onto the porch, get it into position, so that way when Brad gets here, it's a lot easier to get it into position to get it lifted into the window. And as you see, it's a little bit of a struggle because we're having the hump right there in the door jamb, but we got it out, and there she sits. So now my buddy Brad has arrived. We're going to go ahead and get the tank lifted up. We're going to move it off of the porch and get it into position over here by the window, so that way we can get it lifted into the window and get it inside of the fish room. Lifting this tank is a bear. It's very heavy. So now we have the tank into position. It's on some furniture dollies, so that way we can lift the front of the tank up and get it into the windowsill. And the back dolly is supposed to act as snow, just a way for the tank to be able to be mobile. So when we lift the front of it up, the whole tank will move with us as we're lifting it up. That was the plan anyhow. But right now what we're trying to do is figure out the best position for everyone to get in, to figure out how to get this tank lifted. It is not the simplest thing to do. I did not realize how high the windowsill actually is here. So we're making a plan, together. As you see, we're trying to figure this out. I'm trying to keep the tank covered on the top right there because that's the front, and we don't want to scratch the top of that tank. It's actually the front of the tank, not the top of the tank. So Brad had an idea. We figured we'd try to lift it from the middle and get it up as high as possible. but that tank is so heavy that it was just not going to be plausible to pick it up that way, especially because I'm the smallest one out there and I'm super short, so I can't get it up as high as they can. But if you keep noticing, I'm probably one of the strongest out there for as small as I am. Uh, there was an issue that was not caught on camera before we got this tank into position right there where it is. We were moving it off the porch, and of course you see we have the glass suction cups. Brad had one of these suction cups on a piece of tape that I had on the tank to keep the heat from moving, and he was getting a little bit tired and wanted to set the tank down, so went to go ahead and set the tank down on the furniture dolly on the back side where I was, and just as he was getting his set down, the suction cup gave way and the tank just poof, fell right onto the patio there on the concrete. Good thing that I had a sleeping blanket under the tank, so that way it kind of cushioned it. It was only about maybe an inch drop, but still it really made my heart sink, and I was just praying there was no damage to the tank, and there wasn't, thank God. Now, had it been glass and that happened, that probably would have been a tragic disaster, and the whole tank probably would have been trash. But being that it's acrylic, it had a little bit more give, and we didn't damage anything on the tank whenever it did drop. So now we figure we have a good position to try to lift this tank. We're going to give it a shot here, and we are figuring out right now that that did not go so well. As you see, the dolly kind of slid out of position, and the tank slid off of the dolly, and we're having a really big issue right now with this tank about to fall. And we have two big guys on one side and just me, my little 122-pound rear end on the other side. So if you can imagine how heavy that tank is for me, whew, that was a scare right there, because underneath that tank where we were standing, me and Brad, there is rocks and red brick right there to keep water intrusion from going into the house. So had that tank fallen right there where it was, it would have been over. It would have been a total disaster. The tank would have been trash. The whole day would have been shot. I wouldn't have been a happy camper. And I don't know what I would have done. That would have been a terrible day. So now we've decided just to get the sheets out of the way. I'm not really worried about the front of the tank at this point, because we're not really touching the front of the tank, and there's nothing that can actually scratch the front of that tank by the way that we're lifting it and putting it in the window. So we are going to attempt to give this another shot and see if we can get it inside the window right here. As you see, we still have the two biggest guys on one side of this tank and the smallest guy on the other side. It just doesn't work that well like that. You know, I'm really short. I'm nowhere near as tall as those guys are, so I definitely can't lift it as high as they can. And right now I'm trying to get my hand under the tank to pick it up higher, but it just wasn't happening. That tank is so heavy, and we've already lifted this tank, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, so you can imagine how tired and weak we are at this point. But we're still giving it our best and giving it hell. Let's keep going. Where there is a will, there is definitely a way. So again, we are trying to reposition the suction cups. We're trying to figure out whether we need to go lower with the suction cups or we need to go higher with the suction cups. And we still have the two biggest guys on one side of the tank, and you can hear the tank just moving on that dolly right there, and I'm kind of freaking out because I don't want the tank getting damaged on the back of it down there on the corners or anything like that. So now we're trying to figure out a different way to get this done, and it just isn't working out the way that I had planned. You know, in my head I saw this going way easier and way more smoothly. You know, that's normally how it always goes until you actually go to try to do it. So we're going to give this another attempt and see if we can get it lifted up high enough to get it just the edge of it on the windowsill. And it looks like we fail miserably, and I go down. Brad basically gives out over there on that side, and I was left with almost all the weight. The tank almost crushed me. I had to get under the tank. That's why you saw Ben run over there, because he thought that the tank was going to be laying on top of me. Good thing that I'm a lot stronger than I look, and I did not let that tank fall, because I just seen that going very badly. So we really need to rethink this. Okay, so what you didn't see was we rethought it. We grabbed some tires to brace the back of the tank up instead of holding it. Now we have gotten in the windowsill and halfway in the fish room. So half the battle is complete. We now have to figure out how we are going to turn this inside of the fish room without damaging the tank, damaging any other tanks, or without that tank falling off the stand. So here we go with some PVC pipe, and we had to basically move everything out of the way, all the small stuff out of the way that was around the stand. And there was a shelf over in the corner here on the right hand side where I'm standing that was in the way, that I decided to move because I figured it'd be a lot easier to do that rather than trying to hold the tank up in the air and this and that. So we just moved that shelf out of the way, and then we finally get this monster onto the stand. Now the problem with the way that it's on the stand right here, you see when we finally get it on there, is that it is actually laying on the back side of the tank right there. So once we get it on the stand like it is there, we have to lay it down onto the bottom of the tank and get it positioned onto the foam pads without messing up the foam pads too much, because the foam pad I had perfectly in place on the stand, and once we get this tank laid down and try to move it around, it's going to shift that pad. But we ended up getting it laid over and getting the pad as perfect as possible. It's not exactly perfect, but it's on the stand, the pad's under it, and now I can basically start tweaking everything the way that I want it and get this thing plumbed, get some fish in there, or get some water and get some fish in it, and start making some awesome YouTube videos for y'all. Thanks for watching. All right, everyone, I appreciate y'all watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned some stuff, maybe you didn't, but we finally got the 400 gallon on the stand. That was the main point of the video, and I'm just super excited. I can't wait to actually get the water in this thing and get the fish in there. The only thing that I see is a little bit weird is because I think it's just that it's acrylic, is the end over here has a gap, and I think it's just because it's the acrylic is cold, and that's just what happens, it warps. So when I get the water in there, hopefully it'll settle and everything will be good to go. But that's why I have the pad under it, so that way it absorbs any impurities and it doesn't cause any damage to the tank. But hey, again, thanks for watching. Y'all smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet, and hit the notification bell because you don't want to miss anything coming up that has to do with this tank. And we're going to be adding some different videos here coming up in the future. I really don't know what we're going to do yet, but y'all give me some suggestions. I'll think about it and we'll make some new content. All right, love y'all. Peace.